Sometimes the person who loves you the most at home can become a complete stranger in public. And that's exactly what happened to me. This is my story, a story about love, marriage, dreams, and the pain of being hidden. After I finished my HSC exams, my family sat me down for the talk. You know the one I'm talking about, the marriage talk. I was young, I had dreams, but in our culture, family decisions carry a lot of weight. So I got married. My husband, he's a lecturer at a private university. Smart, educated, respected. On paper, everything looked perfect. At first I thought, okay, this is my life now. But deep down, I still wanted something for myself. I wanted to study. I wanted to go to university, build my own identity, have my own achievements. When I told my in-laws about this, though, their faces said it all. They weren't interested. Not even a little bit. But I'm stubborn. I didn't let their lack of support stop me. I prepared for the university admission exam in secret, studying late at night when everyone was asleep. And guess what? I got in. London University. A good subject. I was over the moon. I got admitted, started attending classes, and for a while, everything felt amazing. I was finally doing something for myself. But life has a way of throwing curveballs when you least expect them. Living separately from my husband started creating problems. The distance between us wasn't just physical. It was emotional too. My in-laws began complaining. Why is she living so far away? What kind of wife does this? The pressure kept building, day after day. Then there were the usual marriage struggles, misunderstandings, arguments over the phone, that feeling of loneliness even when you're surrounded by people. It was exhausting, honestly. One day, my husband called me. His voice was different, softer, concerned. He said, "Look, this isn't working. The distance is killing us. Why don't you leave London University? I'll get you admitted to my university. That way we can be together. We can go home together every day. Isn't that better?" I hesitated. But that's going to cost so much money. The admission fees, everything. "Don't worry about the money," he said. "What matters is that we're together. I can't live like this anymore. Please, just think about it." His words melted my heart. Here was my husband, saying he missed me, that he wanted me close. What wife wouldn't want to hear that? So I agreed. I left London University and got admitted to his university instead. Specifically, the CSE department. Here's the interesting part. My husband is a lecturer in that exact same department. CSE, Computer Science and Engineering. I thought, this is perfect. We'll see each other every day. We can have lunch together. Maybe even walk to classes together. I was so naive. The first few weeks at the new university were exciting. New campus, new classmates, new professors. And yes, I'd see my husband in the corridors, in the department office, sometimes even in the cafeteria. But something was off. Whenever we crossed paths, he'd look right through me. Like I was invisible. Like I was just another student he didn't know. At first, I thought maybe he was just being professional. Keeping work and personal life separate. I tried to understand. But it got worse. We'd be standing in the same room, and he'd talk to everyone else but me. He'd laugh with his colleagues, chat with other students, but when his eyes landed on me, nothing. Just a blank stare, and then he'd look away. I remember one day very clearly. It was second semester, and he was assigned as my course teacher. I was actually excited about it. I thought, finally, we'll have some interaction, even if it's just in class. That day, I wasn't feeling well. I had a terrible headache, and halfway through the lecture, I felt dizzy. I put my head down on the desk, trying not to pass out. My classmates noticed. They asked if I was okay, if I needed water, if someone should take me to the medical center. But him, my husband, he just kept teaching. Didn't even glance in my direction. Didn't ask if I was all right. Nothing. After class, one of my friends said, "Sir didn't even check on you. That's so cold." If only she knew he wasn't just sir to me. He was my husband. The man who shared my bed every night. The man who'd promised to take care of me. Things became clearer as time went on. My husband had made a decision he never discussed with me. He decided that at university, I didn't exist. Not as his wife, anyway. He never introduced me to anyone. Not to his colleagues, not to his students, not to anyone. If we were in a group and someone asked, "How do you two know each other?" he'd just say, "We don't," and walk away. Just like that. One day, he actually sat me down at home and said it directly. "Listen, don't tell anyone at university that I'm your husband. Don't mention it to your classmates, don't mention it to anyone. Just keep it to yourself. I stared at him, confused. But why? What's wrong with people knowing? It's complicated. It'll create problems. Just trust me on this. But I didn't understand. What problems? Was he ashamed of me? Did he think I wasn't good enough? Was I embarrassing him somehow? I tried to follow his rules. I really did. But it hurt. Every single day it hurt. Then I got pregnant. 5 months pregnant, to be exact. And when you're pregnant, people notice. Your friends notice. They start asking questions, getting excited for you, wanting to celebrate with you. My friends would say things like, "Oh my God, you're going to be a mom. When's the baby due? Have you thought of names yet? You must be so happy." And I was happy about the baby. Of course I was. But then they'd say things that cut deep. "Why don't you show your baby bump to Doulabai?" That's what students call him, Doulabai. I'd just smile awkwardly and change the subject. The university had events throughout the year. Cultural programs, seminars, picnics, sports days. Normal university stuff. My friends would get excited, plan outfits, talk about taking pictures together. "Let's all go together to the event," they'd say. "It'll be so much fun." And I'd go. I'd stand there with my friends, smiling, laughing, trying to enjoy myself. But my eyes would always find him in the crowd. My husband, standing with his colleagues, chatting, looking so relaxed and happy. And when our eyes met, nothing. He'd look at me like I was a stranger, like we'd never met before in our lives. During group photos, everyone would gather together, teachers, students, all mixed up, having a good time. My friends would pull me into pictures. And sometimes he'd be in those same pictures, standing just a few feet away from me, his pregnant wife. And he'd act like I didn't exist. I'm not his girlfriend. I'm not some secret lover he's trying to hide. I'm his wife, his legally married wife, the mother of his unborn child. And still, he treats me like I'm invisible. Do you know how that feels? To be loved at home but rejected in public? To sleep next to someone every night who pretends not to know you every day? At home, he's perfect. He asks if I'm feeling okay, brings me food, rubs my feet when they're swollen from pregnancy, talks to my belly, gets excited about becoming a father. He's everything a husband should be. But the moment we step into that university, I become nobody. I've spent so many nights lying awake, staring at the ceiling, asking myself the same questions over and over again. Why does he do this? What is he so afraid of? Is he worried about what his colleagues will think? That they'll judge him for being married to a student? Is he scared it'll affect his reputation, his career, his position at the university? Or is it something else? Is he ashamed of me? Does he think I'm not smart enough, not sophisticated enough to be introduced as his wife? Maybe he thinks people will gossip. Maybe he's heard stories of other teachers who married students and faced criticism. Maybe he's just trying to protect himself. But what about protecting me? What about protecting us? I've tried talking to him about it. So many times. Why do you do this? I ask him at night when we're alone. Why do you pretend you don't know me? He sighs. You don't understand. It's not personal. It's just complicated. Then explain it to me. Make me understand. But he never does. He just changes the subject or gets quiet or says, "Can we not talk about this right now?" So I'm left with my thoughts, my pain, my confusion. Sometimes I wonder if I made the right choice. Should I have stayed at London University? Should I have fought harder to keep my own path, my own identity separate from his? But then I remember why I came here. For him. For us. Because he said he wanted us to be together. You know what hurts the most? It's not even the public rejection. It's the double life. Every morning, we wake up in the same bed. He kisses my forehead, asks how I slept, makes sure I take my prenatal vitamins. He talks to my belly, telling our baby about his day, about his dreams for our family. He holds me close and whispers, "I love you." And I believe him. Because in those moments, I see it in his eyes. The love is real. Then we get ready for university. We leave the house together, sometimes even in the same car. But the moment we get close to campus, something changes. He becomes distant, professional, cold. We park. We walk separately to our respective buildings. And for the rest of the day, I'm just another student. Another face in the crowd. Do you know how confusing that is? To be loved and unloved by the same person, depending on where you're standing? My friends have started noticing things. They're not stupid. You know, you and Doulabai have the same last name. One girl said to me recently, "Is that just a coincidence?" My heart stopped. "Ah, it's a common name," I mumbled. She looked at me skeptically but didn't push further. But I could see the wheels turning in her head. How long can I keep this secret? How long before someone figures it out? And what happens then? The secret is becoming heavier every day. It's like carrying a stone in my chest that keeps getting bigger and bigger. I can't talk to my friends about my real life. When they complain about their husbands or boyfriends, I just sit there quietly. I can't say, "Oh, I understand. My husband does this thing that drives me crazy." Because they don't even know I have a husband. When they see me tired or upset, they assume it's just pregnancy hormones. They don't know it's because I spent the morning arguing with my husband about why he won't even smile at me in the hallway. I've become really good at lying. Too good. "Who's the father?" Someone asked me once, trying to be friendly, curious. "Oh, he works far away. Different city," I said automatically. The lies come so easily now. And I hate it. I hate what I'm becoming. There are moments, small, painful moments, that stick with me. Like the time the department had a celebration for Teachers' Day. All the students brought cards and flowers for their favorite teachers. I watched as students crowded around my husband, laughing, thanking him, taking selfies with him. I stood in the corner, holding a card I'd made for him at home. A card that said, "To the best teacher and the best husband." But I couldn't give it to him. Not there. Not in public. I took it home and left it on his pillow. He read it that night and hugged me tight. "Thank you," he whispered. "This means everything to me." But it didn't mean enough for him to acknowledge me the next day. Now I'm 5 months pregnant, and everything is getting more complicated. My body is changing in ways I can't hide anymore. My belly is growing. I waddle when I walk. I get tired easily. I need to sit down more often during classes. People are naturally curious. They're kind, they want to help. But their kindness comes with questions I can't answer honestly. "Does your husband come to your doctor's appointments?" A classmate asked me last week. "Sometimes," I said. Which is true. He does come. But we go to a clinic far away from the university area, where nobody knows us. "You must miss him so much, being here while he's away," another friend said. I just nodded. If only she knew he was in the next building, probably teaching a class right at that moment. The baby kicked for the first time a few weeks ago. I was sitting in the library, studying, and I felt this flutter. Then a stronger push. Our baby. Our little one, saying hello. I was so excited. I wanted to run and tell someone, share this amazing moment. But who could I tell? My friends would ask about the father. My husband was in a meeting. So I sat there alone in the library, with tears rolling down my face, one hand on my belly, experiencing one of the most beautiful moments of my life, completely alone. That night, I told my husband. He was overjoyed. He put his hand on my belly, waiting to feel it again. And when the baby kicked, his face lit up like a child on Eid morning. "We're really going to be parents," he said, his voice full of wonder. "Yes," I said. "We are." But I wanted to add, then why can't we be parents together everywhere? Why only at home? Late at night, when he's asleep beside me, I lie awake and think about our future. What happens when the baby is born? Will he come to the hospital? Will he hold our child in front of the nurses and doctors? Or will he pretend to be just a visitor? What about when our baby grows up? Will I have to teach our child to pretend daddy is just a teacher at mommy's university? Will our child learn to live a double life too? I imagine our baby's first day of school someday. Other kids talking about their parents. My daddy is a lecturer. Will our child be able to say that proudly? Or will there be secrets even then? Sometimes I wonder if I'm overreacting. Maybe this is normal. Maybe lots of couples keep their relationship private at work. Maybe I'm just being too sensitive, too emotional. But then I think, no, this isn't about being professional. This is about being erased. If he just maintained professional boundaries, I'd understand. If he treated me politely like any other student, I could accept that. But he doesn't. He treats me like I'm invisible, like I'm less than a stranger. At least strangers get a polite nod. I've started looking at other couples on campus. There's a professor in the English department who's married to someone in the administration office. Everyone knows. They're professional during work hours, but they don't pretend not to know each other. They don't hide. Why can't we be like that? What makes our situation so different, so shameful, that it has to be completely hidden? This double life is breaking me in ways I didn't expect. I've become anxious. Every time I see him on campus, my heart races, not with love, but with fear. Fear of saying the wrong thing. Fear of accidentally looking at him too long. Fear that someone will notice the way I look at him and figure out the truth. I've stopped enjoying university. The thing I fought so hard for, my education, my dreams, has become a source of pain. Every day feels like I'm walking on eggshells. My grades are suffering too. It's hard to concentrate in class when your course teacher is your husband and he's explaining concepts while deliberately avoiding eye contact with you. It's hard to raise your hand and ask questions when you know he'll respond to you in that cold, distant voice he reserves for me in public. I've lost weight, except for my growing belly. I'm not eating properly. The stress, the emotional exhaustion, it's all taking a toll. My mother noticed last time I visited home. "You look tired," she said, concern in her eyes. "Is everything okay? Is he treating you well?" "Everything's fine, Ma," I lied. "Just busy with studies and pregnancy. You know how it is." She accepted my answer, but I could see the doubt in her eyes. Mothers always know when something's wrong. I've thought about talking to someone. Maybe a counselor. Maybe a trusted friend. But what would I even say? My husband loves me at home but pretends I don't exist in public? It sounds absurd even in my own head. Last week, something happened that changed everything for me. There was a department event, a farewell party for graduating students. Everyone was invited. Teachers, students, staff. It was supposed to be a happy occasion. I went with my friends. We were standing together, chatting, laughing. The room was crowded and warm. Maybe too warm. I started feeling dizzy. My vision got blurry around the edges. "Are you okay?" my friend Nisha asked, grabbing my arm. "I just need some air," I said, but my voice sounded far away. Before I knew it, my knees gave out. I started collapsing. Nisha screamed. People rushed over. Someone brought a chair. Someone else ran to get water. And through my hazy vision, I saw him. My husband. Standing just a few feet away, frozen. Our eyes met. For a moment, I thought, this is it. This is when he'll break his own rules. This is when his love for me will override his fear. He'll rush over, he'll hold me, he'll make sure I'm okay. He'll finally choose me. But he didn't move. He stood there, his face pale, his hands clenched at his sides. I could see the conflict in his eyes. The desire to help versus the fear of revealing our secret. Another teacher, Sir Kamal from the physics department, rushed over instead. "Someone call an ambulance. She's pregnant. We need to be careful." No, I'm okay," I managed to say. "Just got dizzy. I'm fine now." They insisted I sit for a while. They brought me juice, fanned me, made sure I was comfortable. Everyone was so kind, so caring. Everyone except my husband. He stayed in the background the whole time, watching, but not coming close, not saying a word. When I finally felt better and my friends decided to take me home, I glanced back one more time. He was still standing there, his jaw tight, his hands in his pockets. Our eyes met again, and I saw something in his expression I'd never seen before. Guilt. Pure, raw guilt. That night, he came home late. I was already in bed, staring at the ceiling. He sat on the edge of the bed. "Are you okay? The baby?" "We're fine," I said flatly. "No thanks to you." Silence. "I wanted to help," he finally said, his voice barely a whisper. "I wanted to run to you so badly. But you didn't." "I couldn't. Everyone was there. If you'd acted like a normal human being who cares about a pregnant woman collapsing in front of him." I interrupted, sitting up. "Is that what you were going to say?" He rubbed his face with both hands. "You don't understand." "You're right. I don't understand. I don't understand how the man who kisses my belly every night could watch me nearly faint and do absolutely nothing. I don't understand how you can say you love me, but treat me like I'm invisible. I don't understand any of this anymore." My voice cracked. The tears I'd been holding back all day finally came. "I'm so tired," I whispered. "I'm so tired of being your secret. I'm tired of pretending. I'm tired of lying to everyone. I'm tired of being nobody." He reached for my hand, but I pulled away. "Please, just listen to me," he said, his voice desperate now. "When I joined this university, I was young, fresh out of my master's degree. I wanted to build my career, earn respect, make a name for myself. And then I got married. To you. And you were younger than me, still in high school. I knew that eventually you'd want to study. I knew there was a chance you might end up as a student somewhere." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "When you got into London University, I was relieved. Different city, different institution. No complications. But then the distance started hurting us. I missed you. I really did. So I suggested you come here, to my university, thinking we could make it work. But the moment you enrolled, I panicked. I realized what people would say. He married a girl, and then got her admitted to his own department. He's giving her special treatment. She's only passing because she's his wife. He's unprofessional. He's taking advantage of his position. I was scared of the judgment, scared of the gossip, scared it would ruin my reputation that I'd worked so hard to build. So I thought, if no one knows, there won't be any problems. I stared at him, tears streaming down my face. So you chose your reputation over me, I said quietly. No, that's not. That's exactly what you did. You chose what people might think over what I actually feel. You chose protecting yourself over protecting us. Do you know what I've sacrificed? I asked, my voice shaking. I left London University for you. I gave up my first choice, my own path, because you said you wanted us to be together. Together. That's what you promised. But we're not together. Not really. We live in the same house, but at university I'm alone. Completely alone. I wiped my tears with the back of my hand. I sit in your classes and pretend you're just another teacher. I walk past you in hallways and pretend you're a stranger. I hear other students talk about you, laugh about you, and I can't say anything. I can't say, that's my husband you're talking about. I know him better than anyone. And now I'm carrying your child. Our child. And I still have to pretend. Do you know how that feels? To have this beautiful life growing inside me and not be able to share that joy with anyone who actually knows the Father. He was crying now too, silent tears running down his face. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'm so sorry. I never wanted to hurt you. I didn't know what else to do. You could have been honest from the start, I said. You could have told the department head, the administration, been transparent. Yes, people might have talked for a while, but at least we wouldn't be living this lie. I thought I was protecting you too, he said weakly. Protecting you from gossip, from judgment. You weren't protecting me. You were hiding me. There's a difference. We sat in silence for a long time. The weight of everything unsaid, everything suppressed, filled the room. Finally, he spoke again. What do you want me to do? It was the first time he'd asked me that. The first time he'd actually given me a choice in this situation. I thought carefully before answering. I want you to decide what's more important to you, your image or your family. Because right now you're trying to have both, and it's destroying me. I want both, he admitted, his voice breaking. Is that so wrong? I want to be respected at work, and I want to be a good husband to you. But you can't have both the way you're doing it now. You can't have respect built on lies. Real respect comes from integrity, from being honest about who you are. I place my hand on my belly, feeling our baby move. This baby is going to be here in 4 months. 4 months. And when that happens, everything changes. You can't hide a baby. You can't pretend your wife didn't just give birth. What's your plan then? Are you going to hide our child too? He looked stricken. I don't think he'd thought that far ahead. I need you to think about what kind of father you want to be, I continued. Do you want to be the kind of father who's proud of his family? Or the kind who's ashamed? Because children feel these things. They know when they're being hidden. I need time, he said finally. Time to figure out how to fix this. How much time? I asked. Because I don't have much left. Every day at that university chips away a little more of who I am. I don't know how much longer I can keep doing this. He didn't have an answer. That conversation was 3 days ago. Since then, things have been tense between us. We're polite, we function, but there's a distance now that wasn't there before. Even at home. I've been doing a lot of thinking. About my choices. About my future. About what's best for me and my baby. Part of me wants to leave the university. Just quit. Remove myself from this painful situation entirely. Focus on my pregnancy, on preparing for motherhood. Maybe go back to my parents' house for a while. But another part of me is angry. Why should I be the one to leave? Why should I give up my education, my degree, my dreams, again, because he can't figure out how to be honest? I didn't do anything wrong. I'm not the one who created this mess. Why should I be the one to sacrifice? My friends have noticed I've been quiet lately. Withdrawn. Is everything okay? Nisha asked me yesterday. You seem different. Just tired, I said. Pregnancy is exhausting. But she looked at me like she knew there was more to it. Like she could see the cracks forming in my carefully constructed facade. Yesterday, something small happened. Something that maybe doesn't mean anything, but maybe means everything. I was walking to the library, moving slowly because my back was hurting. I was carrying my heavy bag, struggling a bit. And then I heard his voice behind me. Here, let me help you with that. I turned around, shocked. It was him. My husband. In broad daylight. in the middle of campus, speaking to me. He took the bag from my shoulder before I could respond. "This is too heavy for you to be carrying," he said, his voice quiet but firm. I looked around nervously. There were students everywhere, people who knew both of us. "What are you doing?" I whispered. "Helping my wife," he said simply. My heart stopped. Did he just say that out loud? A couple of students walked past us, glancing curiously. He didn't flinch, didn't look away. He just kept walking beside me, carrying my bag. We walked in silence to the library entrance. He handed me the bag carefully. "Take care of yourself," he said, looking directly into my eyes. "Both of you." Then he walked away, leaving me standing there, stunned. It was such a small thing. Carrying a bag. A 30-second interaction. But it felt monumental. When I got home that evening, I didn't mention it. I wanted to see if he would. He didn't bring it up that night. Or the next morning. But I noticed something different in the way he looked at me. The day after that, I was in the cafeteria with my friends. We were sitting at our usual table, eating lunch, talking about an upcoming assignment. And then he walked in. Normally, when this happened, I'd look down at my food. Pretend not to notice him. Play my part in our silent agreement. But this time, I looked up, and he was already looking at me. For a moment, our eyes met. And instead of looking away like he always did, he nodded. A small, barely noticeable nod. But it was there. My friend Nisha caught it. "Wait, did Dulabai just acknowledge you?" "Maybe he was looking at someone else," I said quickly. But she wasn't convinced. "No, he was definitely looking at you. Do you know him or something?" My heart pounded. We've talked a few times. About coursework. It wasn't exactly a lie. We had talked about coursework. Among other things. Like baby names and nursery colors. 2 days later, in class, I raised my hand to ask a question. Usually, I avoided doing this in his classes. It was too painful, too awkward. But I needed clarification on something, so I raised my hand. He called on me. "Yes, go ahead." I asked my question, my voice a little shaky. He answered thoroughly, patiently. And then, and this is what shocked me, he asked, "Does that make sense, or would you like me to explain it differently?" It was such a normal teacher-student interaction. But for us, it was revolutionary. That night, after dinner, we finally talked. "I've been thinking," he started, sitting across from me at the kitchen table, "about everything you said. About the kind of father I want to be. The kind of husband I should be." I stayed quiet, letting him continue. "I was wrong. I've been wrong this whole time. I convinced myself I was protecting us, but really, I was just protecting myself. From judgment, from gossip, from having to defend my choices." He reached across the table, taking my hand. This time, I didn't pull away. But you know what I realized? My wife collapsed in front of me, and I stood there like a coward. Our baby could have been in danger, and I cared more about what people would think than about making sure you were okay. That's not the kind of man I want to be. His voice cracked with emotion. "I talked to the department head yesterday. I told him everything. That you're my wife. That we got married before you enrolled. That I should have disclosed it from the beginning." My eyes widened. "You did what?" I came clean. I explained the whole situation. And you know what? He wasn't even that upset. He said, "Why didn't you just tell us from the start? We could have made arrangements. You could have been transparent about it." He said there are protocols for situations like this. Disclosure policies, ways to ensure there's no conflict of interest. I felt tears building up again, but this time they were different. "What happens now?" I asked. "Starting next semester, I won't be teaching any of your courses," he explained. "They're reassigning things so there's no direct academic relationship between us. It's standard procedure. I should have requested it from the beginning." He squeezed my hand gently. "And I'm going to stop hiding you. Stop hiding us. I'm not saying I'm going to be unprofessional or show favoritism, but I'm done pretending you don't exist. You're my wife. Soon, you'll be the mother of my child. And I should be proud of that, not ashamed." "What about the gossip?" I asked. "The judgment you were so afraid of?" He smiled sadly. "It'll come. People will talk. Some will say I married a student, even though we got married before you enrolled. Some will assume things that aren't true. But that's their problem, not ours. We know the truth. The administration knows the truth. That's what matters. And if people ask me directly," I ventured, "then you tell them the truth. You're my wife. You don't have to lie anymore. You don't have to carry that burden." I started crying. Months of pain, of loneliness, of feeling invisible. All of it came pouring out. He came around the table and held me, really held me, in a way he hadn't in so long. "I'm sorry," he whispered into my hair. "I'm so sorry for putting you through this. For making you feel like you had to hide. For not being brave enough to stand by you from the beginning." The next week at university felt surreal. Word had gotten out. Not through official channels, but the way things always get out in a university. Through whispers, through conversations, through the invisible network of gossip that connects everyone. People knew. They knew I was Dulabai's wife. I was terrified walking into campus that Monday. I didn't know what to expect. Judgment? Accusations? Dirty looks? But when Nisha saw me in the corridor, she didn't look angry or scandalized. She looked relieved. "So it's true?" she asked, pulling me aside. "You're really married to him?" I nodded, bracing myself. "Oh my God, that explains so much," she exclaimed. I knew something was going on. The way you'd sometimes look at him when you thought no one was watching. The way you'd get quiet whenever we talked about him. It all makes sense now. Are you upset?" I asked nervously. "Upset? Why would I be upset? I'm just glad you don't have to hide anymore." That must have been so hard. Other students had mixed reactions. Some were supportive, some were curious, some kept their distance. And yes, there was gossip. I heard the whispers. Did she only get admitted because of him? I bet she gets special treatment. That's so unprofessional. It hurt. Of course it hurt. But you know what? It hurt less than pretending. It hurt less than being invisible. My husband, I could finally call him that openly now, handled it better than I expected. When a colleague made a snide comment in the department office about mixing personal and professional life, he responded calmly but firmly. We got married before she enrolled here. I should have been transparent about it from the start, and I take full responsibility for that. But our relationship doesn't affect the integrity of this department. She's never been in a position where I could show favoritism, and moving forward, the administration has ensured there's no conflict of interest. He didn't get defensive. He didn't make excuses. He just stated facts. And slowly, things started to normalize. The first time we walked together on campus, really walked together, not hiding, not pretending, it felt strange. My hand was in his, and people could see us. But instead of feeling exposed, I felt free. "You okay?" he asked, noticing my tears. "Yeah," I said, smiling through them. I'm really okay." My classmates started asking me normal questions. "How's the pregnancy going? Have you felt the baby kick today? Are you getting excited?" And I could answer honestly. I didn't have to hide anymore. One afternoon, I was sitting in the common area, struggling to tie my shoelaces because my belly was in the way. Before I could figure it out, someone knelt down in front of me. It was him. "Let me," he said simply, and tied my shoes for me. Students walked past. Some smiled. Some looked away. But he didn't care. He was taking care of his wife. Looking back now, I realize how much we both lost during those months of hiding. We lost time. Time we could have spent being happy, being open, being a normal married couple navigating university life together. We lost connections. I could have made deeper friendships if I hadn't been constantly guarding my secret. He could have been more present, more himself, if he hadn't been so consumed with maintaining the facade. Most importantly, we lost trust. Trust that took months to rebuild. Trust that was damaged every time he looked through me in a hallway. Every time he pretended I didn't exist. But here's what we gained, understanding. I understand now that his fear wasn't really about me. It was about himself. About his own insecurities, his need for approval, his terror of being judged. It wasn't right, but it was human. And he understands now that love isn't just something you feel in private. Love is something you show. Something you stand by. Something you're willing to defend, even when it's uncomfortable. We also learned that secrets have a cost. They might seem like the easy solution in the moment, but they eat away at you from the inside. They create distance where there should be closeness. They turn joy into anxiety. Being honest, being open. Yes, it came with judgment. Yes, people talked. But it also came with relief. With freedom. With the ability to finally breathe. My baby, our baby, is due in a few weeks now. And when this child is born, they'll be born into a family that isn't hiding. Into a family that isn't ashamed. This experience taught me something important about our society, about relationships, about the pressure we put on ourselves and each other. We live in a world where reputation feels like everything. Where what people think can seem more important than what's actually true. Where fear of judgment can make us do things that go against our own values. My husband isn't a bad person. He's not a villain in this story. He's just someone who got caught between two worlds, his professional identity and his personal life, and didn't know how to bridge them. And honestly, I understand why he was scared. In our culture, people do judge. They do gossip. A male teacher married to a female student? Even if the timeline is innocent, even if everything was done properly, people will make assumptions. They'll create narratives that aren't true. But here's what I learned. You can't control what people think. You can only control what you do. And when you make decisions based on fear of judgment rather than what's right, you end up hurting the people you love most. I also learned something about myself. I learned that I'm stronger than I thought. That I can survive feeling invisible and come out the other side. That I can speak up for what I need, even when it's terrifying. But I also learned that I shouldn't have had to be that strong. That it's okay to expect the person who loves you to stand beside you, not behind you. Not in front of you, but beside you. Today, I'm 8.5 months pregnant. My belly is huge, my feet are swollen, and I waddle more than I walk. But I'm happy. Genuinely happy. Last week, the department threw me a small baby shower. Can you believe that? The same department where I used to feel invisible now celebrated my upcoming motherhood. My classmates decorated a corner of the common room with balloons and banners. They brought gifts, tiny clothes, stuffed animals, baby books. They played silly games and laughed, and made predictions about whether the baby would look more like me or my husband. And he was there, not as doula by the lecturer, as my husband, the father of my baby. He sat next to me, his hand resting protectively on my belly. When someone asked if he was nervous about becoming a father, he said, terrified, but excited, mostly excited. People smiled. A few colleagues who'd been cold to us at first even warmed up, sharing their own parenting stories, offering advice. It wasn't perfect. There are still some people who keep their distance, who probably still judge. But you know what? That's okay. We can't win everyone over. And we don't need to. Yesterday, I had a doctor's appointment. My husband took the afternoon off to come with me. We heard our baby's heartbeat together, strong and steady, like a little drum. On the way back to campus, he held my hand in the car. Are you happy? He asked. Yes, I said. And I meant it. Are you? I am now, he said. I should have been brave enough to be this happy from the beginning. The nursery at home is almost ready. We painted it a soft yellow, neutral, because we decided to keep the baby's gender a surprise. My husband assembled the crib last weekend, cursing at the instruction manual the whole time, making me laugh. We've picked out names. One for a boy, one for a girl. I'm not going to share them yet. Some things can still be private, just between us. My university work is winding down. My professors have been understanding, allowing me to submit assignments early, giving me flexibility with deadlines. I'll take my final exams after the baby is born, during a makeup session. The administration arranged it all. My friends have been incredible. Nisha organized a meal train for after the baby arrives. Different classmates signed up to bring us food for the first 2 weeks. You'll be too exhausted to cook, she said practically. Let us help. This is what community feels like. This is what happens when you stop hiding and let people in. Even my in-laws have come around. At first, they were upset about the scandal at the university. But when they saw how happy my husband and I are now, how much lighter we both seem, they softened. My mother-in-law called me last week. I'm sorry, she said. I'm sorry we didn't support your education from the beginning. I'm sorry we made you feel like you had to choose between studying and being a good wife. You can be both. You are both. I cried when she said that, because it was something I needed to hear, but didn't know I needed to hear. If I could go back and talk to myself 6 months ago, that girl who felt invisible, who cried alone in library bathrooms, who carried a secret that was crushing her, I'd tell her this. It gets better. Not immediately. Not easily. But it does get better. I'd tell her that speaking up for yourself isn't selfish. It's necessary. That asking for what you need doesn't make you demanding. It makes you human. I'd tell her that a relationship built on hiding isn't really a relationship at all. That real love doesn't ask you to disappear. Real love says, here you are. Here I am. Let's face the world together. I'd tell her that people's judgments say more about them than about you. That the people who matter will understand. And the people who don't understand, they don't matter. I'd tell her that education is important, but so is dignity. That no degree is worth losing yourself for. But I'd also tell her to be patient. To remember that people can change. that her husband isn't perfect, and neither is she. That sometimes people make mistakes out of fear, not malice. And that if both people are willing to work on it, relationships can heal. I'd tell her that becoming a mother while still being a student is hard. That she'll be tired, overwhelmed, probably behind on assignments. But that she's stronger than she thinks. That she can do this. Most importantly, I'd tell her, you deserve to be seen. Not hidden. Not invisible. Seen. Just as you are. Sometimes I think about the future. About what life will look like with a baby in my arms and textbooks on my lap. It won't be easy. I know that. There will be sleepless nights followed by early morning classes. There will be moments when I'm trying to study while rocking a crying baby. There will be times when I question if I can really do both, be a mother and finish my degree. But I also know I won't be doing it alone. My husband has already arranged his schedule for next semester. He's teaching fewer classes, so he can help more at home. We're a team, he said. I got you into this situation. The least I can do is be a full partner in figuring it out. My friends have promised to share their notes if I miss classes. Nisha even joked about becoming the baby's honorary aunt. I'll babysit during exam week, she offered. Just focus on passing. I've learned that it's okay to accept help. That asking for support isn't weakness. That we're not meant to do everything alone. I think about my daughter or son, whoever this little person is, growing up and seeing both parents work hard. Seeing their father respect their mother's dreams. Seeing their mother refuse to give up on herself. Maybe one day, when they're older, I'll tell them this story. About how mommy and daddy went through a difficult time but found their way back to each other. About how sometimes love means being brave enough to be honest, even when it's scary. You know, when I started sharing this story, I wasn't sure what I wanted to say. I just knew I needed to tell it, to get it out, to maybe help someone else who's feeling invisible right now. But now I realize what the message is. Your feelings are valid. If something hurts you, it hurts you. Don't let anyone, not even someone you love, tell you that you're overreacting or being too sensitive. Your pain is real. You deserve to be chosen. Not just in private, not just when it's convenient, but always. If someone truly loves you, they'll find a way to honor that love publicly, even if it's complicated. Fear is understandable, but it shouldn't be an excuse. We all have fears. We're all afraid of judgment, of failure, of what people will think. But we can't let that fear hurt the people we claim to love. Change is possible. People can grow, relationships can heal, but only if both people are willing to do the work. Only if both people are willing to be honest, to be vulnerable, to admit when they're wrong. And finally, you are not invisible. Even when someone treats you like you are, even when you feel like you're disappearing, you're still here. You still matter. Your story still matters. To anyone out there who's hiding, whether it's a relationship, an identity, a dream, a truth about yourself, I want you to know, living in the light is so much better than surviving in the shadows. It might be scary. It might be messy. People might talk. But at least you'll be free. My baby will be here soon. And when I hold that tiny person for the first time, I want to be able to say, you were born into truth. You were born into a family that chose honesty over fear. You were born into light, not shadows. That's the legacy I want to give my child. Not perfection, but authenticity. Not a life without mistakes, but a life where mistakes are acknowledged and learned from. So here's my question for you, the one listening to this story. What are you hiding? And more importantly, why? Is it worth the cost? Because I can tell you from experience, nothing you're protecting by staying invisible is worth losing yourself for. Be seen. Be heard. Be honest. You deserve that. We all do. If this story touched your heart, if it made you think about your own relationships, your own secrets, your own struggles, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And subscribe for more real stories about real life. Because sometimes, the most powerful thing we can do is tell the truth. Thank you for listening to my story. I'm not invisible anymore. And neither are you.